Folks, heads up. The Austin Pond Society's annual pond tour is coming up June 7 and 8th. Find out more at austinpondsociety.org. Now, let's jump into summer with pollinators and petals. Robin Norton of San Antonio's Rainbow Gardens pulls together colorful combinations for containers and garden beds. How are you doing, Robin?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing wonderful. Well, thank you for being here today to talk about some of these plants. But let's talk about Rainbow Gardens.
Well, Rainbow Gardens has been in San Antonio since 1976, so 49 years. We are the largest independently owned garden center in San Antonio. We have two locations, one on Bandera Road and one on Thousand Oaks, that is in San Antonio. And they both have a park-like feel.
Well, let's talk about some of these fun plants. Most of these you brought in are deer tolerant and drought tolerant as well. So that's always a big plus for folks. But let's also talk about if they're annual perennial and what size and what sort of soil they need and light. So you've got Durant as well?
Yes. All of the plants that I brought today are actually pretty easy to care for.
Okay.
And most of them are pretty common to find in local garden centers. So that was one consideration. But speaking specifically about the Durant, it is just absolutely one of the most fascinating plants. It does attract the bees and the butterflies, but I've also seen hummingbirds very interested in this. We've got the big bumblebees, we've got the small little sweat bees, you know, all sorts of insects are just very, very attracted to this plant. You just see a lot of action with it. It loves full sun.
Okay.
It can get really, really big if it finds its happy spot.
Okay.
So it will die down to the ground during winter, but it does come back every year.
Okay, good. What about firecracker fern?
Firecracker fern is another one of my favorites and a hummingbird favorite as well. It is also a host plant for the for the buckeye. It is a host plant for the buckeye butterfly. We discovered that one year when we saw a butterfly flying around and paying a lot of attention to our firecracker fern in our pollinator area. Then we went over to the perennials where we have some more firecracker ferns in a different location, and there she was, and she was just paying so much attention that we ended up and grabbed the plant and discovered that, oh my goodness, yes, in several weeks we had some babies, and it was very exciting to watch.
That's wonderful. And again, how big does that get?
The firecracker fern can get to be 2 to 3 feet wide and tall, and it, again, loves full sun.
Full sun.
And is just very, very a fabulous drought-tolerant plant.
Okay. Well, what about catmint?
Catmint. Now that one is pretty easy. You can do sun or shade on that one.
Okay.
And it spreads pretty quickly as well. A lot of the bees and the little tiny butterflies really, really love the catmint. And it usually has a lot of action on it too, so it's another one of our favorites.
Wonderful. And you said so it doesn't get really big, but it spreads.
It spreads. It's more like a ground cover.
Like a ground cover. Okay.
Exactly.
Wonderful. What about Mystic Spires salvia?
Now that one is truly a special plant to me because we planted it in our garden bed and noticed that the big bumblebees that are on the threatened list are all over it. And again, went over to another section in our garden that has perennials and saw them all over there. So I have a permanent sign now next to the Mystic Spires that says that the bumblebees love this plant. And usually, anytime you walk by, you will see a big bumblebee on there. So that's always exciting to see.
Okay, and that one actually can take some shade as well, right? It's a bit more shade tolerant, right?
Yes, absolutely. And they just get really nice and big, but not too big. They're more of like a dwarf type variety, so maybe 2 or 3 feet.
Okay, and then I know in Austin, if we have a hard freeze, you have to replace them. Is that true in San Antonio, or?
Somewhat. They are, once established, they may or may not make it, just depending on how hard the freeze is.
Okay.
Mine has come back the last couple of years.
Okay.
So fingers crossed it's one of those that, most likely will do okay, just depending on how severe our conditions are.
Okay. How about Greg's Mist Blue Flower?
Oh my goodness. The Greg's Blue Mist, they call this butterfly crack.
Absolutely.
The butterflies absolutely love it. Queens especially. when it's their season and you just walk by a big patch of the Greg's blue mist, it is just the most beautiful sight to see. Butterflies everywhere. It's also a host plant for the Texas wasp moth. Like its name, looks very much like a wasp, but it is a moth. They have a really cute little caterpillar and also a little butterfly that's, a moth that is orange and blue. Very cute.
Cool. And this one, though, if it's happy, it also kind of spreads
Yes,
as well.
it will spread as well. It might get to be about 2 feet tall, and then, yes, finds its happy spot. It will spread, and it does well in some shade or full sun as well.
And I found, though, sometimes in the summer, if it's really, really hot and it's been dry for a while, kind of helps to give it a little bit of water as well. Just
Absolutely.
To keep it flowering. And
Yes, most definitely.
Okay. And then what about shrimp plant, the most maritime of all plants,
Yes.
apparently?
Love the shrimp plant. That one gets action from everyone. I have seen butterflies, bees, and hummingbirds all on the shrimp plant. It is also a host plant for the checker spot butterfly. So we have seen that at the nursery, and we raised some checker spots last year. That was really exciting. But this is just such an easy, agreeable plant. You can plant this anywhere, shade, sun. It's not real particular about the soil either. It is very drought tolerant once established. This is a fabulous plant. I have several in my yard.
And
in
how
different
big
spots.
do those get?
Those can get to be about 3 feet
About
tall,
3 feet.
3 feet wide, 3 to 4 feet wide.
Okay.
Just depending on their spot, their location, and how much room they have to grow and how happy they are. If they find a fabulous spot, they can spread and
Okay, that's
be
good. I was
quite
going to ask, is it
Yes.
kind of his own plant, or
Yes,
will it move?
absolutely.
Okay.
It will get bigger.
And then what about some Esperanza? I think you said you had 2 types here.
Yes, there are so many different varieties and colors. This one is, I believe it was chiclet orange.
Okay.
The hummingbirds absolutely love the Esperanzas. We've got one at the nursery, and usually when you're walking by, you hear that little bzzz, and they're, I scared the hummingbird. But they absolutely love those. Those are so drought tolerant, great for our area. We do have a lot of customers that will come in March and say, I don't see anything going on with my Esperanza. They're a little more tropical, so they might not start their shooting back up the following year until April or May, when it gets a little bit warmer. And when the soil temperature warms up, then they will just shoot right back up.
And they can get fairly large, though, right?
They can, although with the different varieties, there are some dwarf varieties.
Okay.
So if you have a small space, there are still some options for you for smaller spaces as well.
Okay, great. And then lastly, to round things out, you brought some lantana as well.
I did. I brought a lantana to bring a little color in. We love the lantanas. They are usually, there's several varieties. There's a trailing variety, and there's also the upright. They can come in some various sizes as well, depending on which variety, but they are generally deer resistant and just do really well, drought tolerant, do really well in Texas. So we like the lantanas quite a bit, and many color options, which is nice too.
Sure. Okay, well, Robin, thank you so much for sharing these plants with us and
Thank you.
what y'all are doing at Rainbow Gardens.